Legends solved by recent discoveries. Before the existence of computers and technologically advanced research laboratories, the world heavily relied on mythical stories to explain some of the pre-existing places, features, and even cultures. But with modern technology, things have been clearly separated, and now we have the myths, the stories, and reality. From the fate of Atlantis to the Ark of Noah, these are the legendary stories solved by recent discoveries. Number 1. The Oracle at Delphi. Greece is one country rich in history and mythological debates. In ancient Greece, in the town of Delphi, right on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, there was a temple strictly devoted to god Apollo. Within these sacred chambers, a priestess called the Pythia would breathe in sweet-smelling vapors coming from cracks in the walls. These vapors would send her into a frenzied state, during which she would channel Apollo and speak gibberish, a sign of spiritual intervention. A priest would then be required to translate that gibberish into prophecies. After years of research, scientists discovered that 2 geologic faults were running beneath the site, which has since turned to ruins. Gases with euphoric effects used to emanate from these faults, hysterically sending the people around into gibberish-speaking frenzy. These gases include ethylene, benzene, and a mix of carbon dioxide and methane. Number 2. The Ark of Noah. As much as it would be more or less impossible to convince believers that the Noah's Ark story may have been unreal, there are scientific grounds that can prove otherwise. This is a well-known story among the Christians, Jews, and Muslims, more like O.J. Simpson's story is known to Americans. According to this theory, God chose to destroy the earth with great floods, but decided to spare one man, Noah, and his family. God commanded Noah to build a huge boat, an ark, and fill it with 2 of every animal, a male and a female. God then covered the earth with raging waters, drowning everyone and everything that once occupied the land. Noah, his family, and animals on the ark survived the calamity and were later able to repopulate the planet. After years of analyzing Noah's tale, researchers recently concluded that there is not just enough water on Earth to cover all the land. Geologists think that Noah's story may have been influenced by a catastrophic flooding event in the Black Sea around 5000 BC. There was a discovery of fossil seashells on the mountain, as reported by Adrian Mayer, a historian of ancient science at Stanford University. I can imagine how hard it was for believers to accept the floods were due to tectonic plates lifting the rocks from the ocean floor. Number 3. The Fate of Atlantis. The story of Atlantis would make a perfect sci-fi movie. Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, wrote about a great civilization called Atlantis, founded by a rare race of people who were half gods and half humans. They lived in a utopia that held high naval power. They had homes located on islands shaped like a series of concentric circles, but were destroyed by a great cataclysm. Researchers have proved that Atlantis never existed in the first place, but a real civilization might have inspired the tale. Among the areas believed to be part of the mythically famous Atlantis is Santorini. Now an archipelago, thousands of years ago, it was a single volcano island named Thera. Around 3,500 years ago, the volcano blew up in one of the most significant eruptions in human history. The damages were apocalyptic. The islands were destroyed, sparking a series of tsunamis and blowing tons of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. These unfavorable conditions ruined harvest in the region and contributed to its decline. The ancient metropolis was wiped off the map by an earthquake and tsunami in December of 373 BC. Number 4. Pele, goddess of Kilauea. This is the greatest myth in Hawaii. According to the tales, Pele came to Hawaii with her sisters and relatives. She settled in Kauai and met a man, Lohiahu. She didn't stay long in Kauai, as the land was hot and therefore not arable. She eventually settled in the crater of Kilauea on the Hawaiian island and asked her sister Hi'iaka to return for Lohiahu. Pele's sister did not return, and she automatically assumed the two had been involved in a romantic entanglement. This marked a bitter rivalry that saw deaths. Pele is said to have killed Lohia'u and threw his body into a crater. In retaliation, Hi'iaka dug furiously to recover the body, with rocks flying high and wide as she dug deeper. According to researchers, this myth that can entirely make a viewable soap opera never happened. All the rocks and craters are results of volcanic activity in Kilauea. The burning forest was probably lava flow, the largest the island has experienced since its settlement by Polynesians. It continued for 60 years in the 15th century, covering some 430 square kilometers on the island of Hawaii. Number 5. Rama's Bridge. Hindu culture had numerous intertwined epic theories. In the story of Ramayana, Sita, the wife of god Rama, was kidnapped and taken to the demon kingdom on the island of Lanka. Monkeys and bears are said to have helped Rama and his brother Lakshman build a floating bridge between India and Lanka. But according to a recent discovery, satellite images reveal a 29-kilometer line of limestone shoals that stretches between India and modern-day Sri Lanka that would have been drowned when sea levels rose after the first ice age. Studies reveal that the stretch was passable until about 4,500 years ago. Number 6. The Exploding Lake. The Kam people of the Western African country of Cameroon have a tale to tell. They lived for a short while in the land of the Bamesi people. The leader of the Kam, locally known as Fawn, discovered a plot by the Bamesi people to kill all the young men of his tribe. To prevent the impending bloodshed, he told his sister he would hang himself and that the fluids from his body would form a lake. His instructions were clear. The Kam people were not to go near the lake. They were to leave fish for the Bamesi people and were required to leave once the Bamesi people went fishing on the lake. On the day the Bamesi people went fishing, the lake exploded, drowning everyone who was around. According to scientific research, on the night of the 21st of August 1986, Lake Nyos, a volcanic lake in Cameroon, released a deadly cloud of carbon dioxide, killing over 1,700 people living in the nearby village. Such might have been behind the exploding Lake of Kam legend. Number 7. Namazu, the god of earthquake. Japan is a country made up of several islands. The Japanese mythology about Namazu, a giant catfish buried beneath the lands that is apparently being helped to stay alive by god Kashima with the help of a giant stone placed on the head of the fish. According to this theory, when Kashima the god slips, Namazu the fish can move its feelers or tail, causing the ground above to move. The scientific explanation to this is quite clear. Japan sits at the junction of several tectonic plates, is home to volcanoes, and is crisscrossed by seismic faults, thus causing the numerous earthquakes, not some giant buried fish that moves. Number 8. The Myth of Chimera. In this legendary folktale, an inhuman and immortal lion-fronted and snake-behind-like creature that also appears like a goat in the middle and with ability to snort out the breath of a terrible flame of bright fire is the one known as Chimera. Chimera was the daughter of half-human, half-snake Echidna. One Bellerophonte tried killing her, but her flaming tongue remained, burning in her lair. Today, in modern-day Turkey, tourists and hikers can visit Yanardus, the reported site of Chimera's eternal flames. At this place, methane vents from dozens of cracks in the ground. The ignited gas has been blazing for several millennia, and sailors have long used it as a natural lighthouse. Number 9. The Vanished Island. People on the Solomon Island of the South Pacific fondly tell stories of Teonimanu, the island that allegedly vanished. According to this myth, Rapuanade had taken a woman from the island to be his wife, but her brother did not approve of the union. So he took her back. Rapuanade, heartbroken and submerged in anger, opted for sorcery to inflict revenge. He was given 3 taro plants, 2 to plant on Teonimanu Island and 1 to keep. Sprouting of new leaves on his preserved plant would signal that the island was about to sink. People were given notice to vacate the island. The water level rose and became salty, so people took off on boats and rafts, while others clung on trees that were washed from the land. As exciting as it sounds, the myth has been scientifically challenged. An earthquake could have sparked a landslide that let the island slide into a trench. At the edge of Solomon Island sits a 5,000-meter deep Cape Johnson Trench, and the island thought to have vanished just slipped into it. Number 10. The creation of Crater Lake. The Klamath people of the Northwest Pacific had their own tale about the formation of their Crater Lake. According to the Klamath clan, the Native Americans were not to gaze at the lake. Looking at the lake was inviting death. According to them, the lake had been created during a battle between Lau, who ruled the underworld, and Skell, the ruler of the overworld. During the struggle, Lau stood on Mount Mazama while Skell stood on Mount Shasta. Darkness covered the land as both enemies threw rocks and flames at each other. The duel ended when Mount Mazama collapsed and sent Lau back to the underworld. Rain later filled the remaining depression to form the lake. According to research, Mount Mazama erupted about 7,700 years ago and developed a depression that would turn into a crater lake after filling with water. Did you enjoy our video? Which theory in the video have you believed for a while? If you did enjoy our video, click on the subscribe button for more of such content. Give us a like and share the video. If you know some legendary myths that have been recently discovered, let us know by leaving a comment in the comment box below.